The sports hit list by the fans and for the fans, the call for change in America, part 2. Carl Coulange here with a very special panel to discuss, to continue discussing this topic. Let me introduce Danielle Wilson, 2006 All-American. She also played at Baylor and Dowling. Danielle, thanks for coming on the panel.
Thank you for having me.
We have my cousin Vanessa out of Boston. I had to get some Boston Celtic love in here. So we have Vanessa. Vanessa, thanks for joining me.
No problem, cuz. Glad to be here.
I also had to get a St. Francis alum. I had to call the St. Francis alum class of 2008 with me. Stephanie Salant, my sister. How you doing, Steph?
Hi, I'm good, Carl. Thanks for having me. But you know, it's Stephanie Harari now.
Stephanie Harari. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry. I apologize to Rowie. I know he's going to kill me for that. I'm sorry, Harari. I'm so sorry about that. I'm so used to calling you Salant.
I know.
And last but not least, the creative director of the Sports Hit List, my partner in life, my wife who came up with this segment. She was very persistent on being on here. Debora Voltaire Coulange. Debora, how you doing? Okay, so the first part of the series I discussed with the gentleman, how can we call for a change in America and what's going on right now after the death of George Floyd? It's been 3 weeks. Danielle, what were your first impressions after seeing what you saw?
It was a rough time to just look at it. Being on social media and it just flooding your timeline and just having to see it and trying to explain, my son he's 10 and he has social media. So now I have to explain to him, what's going on, how this, and just give him that aspect of taking a little of his innocence away.
Vanessa, and now you're in Boston. What's the tone like in Boston? Because I know in New York, the protests are still going on. In Brooklyn, all over Long Island, we're seeing it. So what is it like in Beantown?
It's similar to New York, lots of protests still going on. And there was one that actually was in my hometown of Waltham that just went on yesterday. They marched to the high school field and they had a lot of, speakers, they had singers, they had motivational speeches. So overall, people are still upset about this and they're looking for a change.
Stephanie Harari, you're out in Las Vegas, and what's the tone out west? And now we have the East Coast, but for the West Coast, what is it like in Vegas?
Right, Vegas, we do have a strong Black community, and so as soon as the world started protesting, Vegas was right there with the rest of the world. Today is the 14th, right? So we're actually having like this city council meeting to address the situations that are happening right now. So if anyone, I don't know when this is going to air right now, but if you go on Go Urban Las Vegas, you'll find out more information of this city council meeting that's happening today on the 14th.
All right. And Debora in New York, what's your in the last 3 weeks, we've seen a lot of change happen. What are your thoughts on the change? Should the protests stop now that we've seen a tremendous amount of changes in law, or should they continue protesting?
Now, I'm a big fan of Governor Cuomo, but yesterday he said something which was really upset me, where he said, "We got what we wanted, you can stop protesting." Did he not just see what happened literally 2 days ago, what we're fighting for right now in Atlanta? The protests are just the beginning. I feel like we have achieved so much, but it's still not enough. So if this has to go on for another year or two, let it go on.
Danielle, as the athlete, did you face any form of racism throughout your playing career? You don't necessarily have to get into what particular year it happened, but just talk about, from the athlete perspective, what is it like playing as a female Black athlete in America?
I think, I think the first time that race has ever played a role, I was actually playing AAU and I got fouled out and my coach went ballistic and I'm like, what are you mad? I just fouled out, it's good. But I had the most fouls and I wasn't playing that much. And he just went off about oh, she's the only Black girl on the court. Why are you targeting her? And I was like, coach, it's just fouls. But I guess he saw something that you know, I wasn't really fouling, but, you know, because they just saw me as a taller athlete or whatever, and, you know, see me as an aggressive person. And if anybody has ever seen me play, like, I'm like smiling up and down the court. I foul, I smile because it's just in my nature. And then I was in maybe 8th grade. And then going to a school in Texas, we visited a school in Texas, and we got called the N-word going into the tunnel. And we were like, what happened? Like, what did everybody just hear that? And it was just like blatant, like, and it wasn't even adults, it was student athlete and that students, it was in the student section, and we were walking through the tunnel and they called us the N-word.
Vanessa, I mean, that's just horrible to hear. Vanessa, you played sports in high school, and you played soccer and basketball, right?
Yep, and softball.
And softball. So a triathlete we have here. So talk about your experiences in dealing with racism as a female, African-American female athlete in the Boston area.
I mean, a lot of the times there were times where I was playing as the lone female Black athlete, and it sucked. Like when my sister and her grade, because my sister is 2 years older, when they graduated, I was the only Black girl on my softball team. And I remember going to an away game that we had to make up because of rain on a Saturday night in this town north of me, and I was the only Black person there. And, you know, not gonna lie, I was a really good softball player. You know, we dominated the game, and all I got after the game was just stares from the parents, like I did something wrong, or, you know, I didn't belong there. And in my mind, I was like, you know, get me the hell out of here, because I just felt so uneasy, and just like, it sucked because no one can really understand how you feel, just based off of like, you have this like feeling in your stomach that something could be wrong, and then everyone else around you, because they've never experienced any type of racism, they're just, you know, they're okay, they're laughing, they're joking, and I am like 18 years old trying to run to my van as quickly as possible.
Stephanie, did you play any sports in high school, elementary school?
No, we're just
But you were on the step team though, right?
first year probably like ran track and stuff, but yeah, definitely step team, and then afterwards I like coached a few.
So do you have any experience in coaching on your step team where you ran into something racial or dealing with other teams, competing with other teams?
Yeah, and you know, I think I was the first. I was the first. I was really young. I was like 19 when I went back to like coach the step team, and it was really, 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 really challenging for me dealing with one of the athletic directors. No doubt about it, she's racist. It was challenging for our team. It was challenging for me having to deal with that situation and still try to uphold and uplift my team. It was challenging. I mean, there was a point of time and I was like, I coached for like 4 years, and after that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pass the baton.
Mm-hmm. Debora, you did dance and you also played softball. Did you ever face any form of racism during your time dancing or playing softball?
No, I never. Thankful, and whoever I was with is thankful too, but I never had to experience that. In high school, I did a lot of volunteer work for the children who needed tutoring. I did that a lot, soup kitchen and all those things. And when I went to tutor, and there was tutoring, you know, maybe in like not great neighborhoods and everything, but I remember every time I would go, and the kids were so thankful we were there, just to see people of their own skin color, because sometimes when you get tutored, it is from a white person who's maybe, you know, speaks differently, acts differently. The kids were very grateful, but every time we got off the bus and went back to our pickup and drop off location, I was told numerous times, like, thank you so much for doing this, or we really appreciate it. And I would be like, not a big deal. I'm just helping out the community. But the community I was in was a very rich area, and they did not have anyone reaching out to the children who were unfortunate.
So my next question to the panel is, and I ask for this, what can we do to change? What's right? What's wrong? Is it being an advocate on social media? Is it, going out there and protesting? Are we upset at people who are not protesting? Are we upset at people who are not speaking? For me, my approach has been teaching, because I teach and I have these discussions with my students all the time, even before this happened, and I'm going to continue to have more of it. I'm going to use my media to continue having these conversations. But as a whole, what else can we possibly do to continue the change process right now as we're going through it? Vanessa?
Honestly, for one, it definitely starts at home. Just teaching your kids as much as you can as possible without, trying to scare them or anything like that. And it's also trying to find allies in your community. I know, like after everything went down, I definitely saw a lot of people's true colors over social media, who is and who isn't in your corner. I've seen some genuine approaches. I've also seen some very, fake and like non-empathetic approaches where people are just sending you messages just to say that they did it versus, actually trying to be like, I hear you, I'm here for you, and I'm trying to help, make this change with you.
Danielle, you're raising a Black son. You said your son is 10 years old. How are you approaching this as a mom and talking to him and moving forward that everything's going to be okay? And also your concerns as a parent having to send your son to, and your son's playing basketball now. He's going to be going to playing in different cities and across Long Island, even across nationwide.
Right now, I'm kind of just letting him ask the questions. I think right now it's more educating him on what's actually going on, and that he does have he goes to he has a lot of teammates that are white. He plays on 2 different teams, so he has a team that's predominantly white kids, and he has a team that's predominantly Black kids. And he sees it. I see it as a mom on the sideline. Just how referees sometimes approach him as, him being a little more aggressive. And I'm like, if you knew my son, he's like the sweetest kid ever. He's always smiling, even on the court. And it's just like, he doesn't understand. And I'm like, a kid will push him and he'll try to walk away, but the kid will try to bait him. But I'm always saying, like, you can't lose your cool. Like, you don't want to seem as like the aggressor kid. And how that's the hardest thing to tell a kid at 10 years old when he just wants to play basketball and he's trying to defend himself. But at the same time, you see parents and refs and coaches thinking he's a threat, and he's not. He's usually the youngest kid on the court. He's playing against 11 and 12-year-olds, but, they don't see it as that.
But for me, it's like, at that age, how could a 10-year-old really be a threat on the court? And like, he's playing because you love to play the game. To me, that doesn't.
It's wild. And I saw it so much this year with him playing with one of the teams, and I was just like I wanted to pull him off the court, but as a mom, you can't just be like, let's go and be that quote unquote angry Black woman in the stands, because that's what they see, and they don't see the nudge and the little kick and the little push because he's a little more athletic or he's a little better on the court. They don't see that. All they see is, oh, he's being aggressive. No, like, if a kid pushes you, you're gonna push him back, or if something happens to you, you're gonna defend yourself. And that's what any kid, any boy. But it's hard. It's really hard.
So Danielle, Debora said the angry Black woman term, right? So where do you draw the line in terms of, do you let that term get to you when you're deciding how you're going to approach certain people, or is there a deciding factor in how we're moving on?
1 month, no. I would say maybe 1 month ago, everyone here knows me. I speak my mind. I say how I feel. But I do work in a very corporate place where I'm 75% I speak my mind. But within the last month or so, I don't know what's happened to me. I do not have a filter anymore. We had a meeting on Friday, and I literally took 10 minutes to address the whole boardroom. And Vice President was in there as well of my department, and just reach out to him because out of everyone on our team, there's only 2 African American women, Black women, and this was just for them and for everyone who's my friends who are white who may watch this. This is your time to speak up for us. You don't want us to be labeled as the angry Black woman. Well, we're angry. What is happening right now, we're furious. And we are protesting, we are using our voice that so many people, our ancestors and other people have told us to not to use, but our time is now. And if I have to be labeled as an angry Black woman to make sure my voice is heard, then so be it. Or like my husband has been calling me now, Harriet Tubman, I will love my people, do not care. I've also realized I may be considered privileged for the Black community because a lot of the people who this is happening to unfortunately live in a different area. We don't really see this as much in, I don't know, like Valley Stream. I don't hear about this in Valley Stream, or I don't hear about this in some parts of New Jersey. But I bet this happens every day in Brooklyn and the Bronx that we just not aware of. Yeah. And Carl and I watched something so great from Dave Chappelle, and he said, like, the streets are angry. Forget about the upper class and stuff. The streets are angry. And unless our voices are going to be heard, you're lucky we don't burn this whole fucking place down. So I'll be angry.
Stephanie, you're in an interracial relationship living in Nevada. How does that play a factor in, and I'm sure people look at you and your husband and they have comments or they have the looks. How is that impacting, you moving forward and changing in what's happened?
I just want to go back to what Deb said. Deb, even though that we probably don't hear about it in Valley Stream or in Nassau and Suffolk County, there probably are a huge amount of cases just not probably being recorded. I live in a very nice neighborhood in Henderson. And when I remember, listen, I was extremely happy because that was our second home. And I said, you know what, let's make it a home, let's go out and go ahead and introduce ourselves to the neighbors. And I waved to a neighbor. She didn't respond. I waved again. She didn't respond. I waved 3 times. And she was in her car. She pulled out of her driveway. She entered my driveway. She was like, oh, she like kind of mirrored to like lower, like to come. So I come over there and she goes, "Are you the cleaner?" And my husband and I just bought this house. She goes, oh, thought you were the cleaner. And she lifted her window and, proceeded to go back to drive off. We got stopped by the cops. 2 police officers came over to our home and said there was a report of a stolen phone and it was pinged to our address. And so we were like, that doesn't make any sense, right? So I said, you know what? I was out of town. I said, when I get back, because I saw this from all on the camera, I said, you know what? When I get back, we're going to go to the police station. We go to the police station. The guy goes, you know what? I don't know what you're talking about. There's no record of a stolen phone, nor is there a record of 2 police officers coming to your home looking for some stolen phone. So he said, how about you go speak to a sergeant? So we wait, and the sergeant comes and we show him the video, and he's like, you know what? These guys are really good guys. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. The way they spoke to you, your husband was really uncalled for, was unprofessional. And we're like, yeah, that I get your apology, but that's not the point. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to be relaxed in my own home. I don't need to be, I don't need to be chastised by my neighbors or police officers in my own neighborhood. I think the Ahmaud Arbery situation really, really hit me. It really, really hit me because I don't even feel comfortable in my own neighborhood. I won't walk. I would rather run. I would rather run in my backyard, get my little workout on, than rather walk in my own neighborhood that we pay taxes in and are part of the homeowners association. And I do want to get back to that on what we are doing, my husband and I. So with all of these things that have been happening, they're calling the cops on us. At 9 p.m. at night, they're calling the cops on us. And finally, I think there was like 1 or 2 weeds that were like starting to grow in our front yard. They send like a courtesy notice saying, oh, to keep up the overall appearance of the neighborhood, we're asking that all the homeowners like trim their weeds. You could barely even see it. So finally, my husband and I said, you know what? Enough is enough. We're gonna go attend the board meeting and see what's happening. So I don't know. I'm not sure if East Coasters if you guys are familiar with homeowners association. It's just something that I don't know who started, but I think now that we're part of the board, I think my husband and I think we're trying to look into actually abolish that. This is your home. I don't think you need to pay an association and then for them, it's like you have to get approved for every single little thing. I think we need to abolish that. Anyway, we walk into the meeting. We're the only homeowners there that attend these meetings. And that's another thing that viewers, please, if you are on the West Coast or anywhere, I think even Florida, they have homeowners associations. Please attend these meetings. We walk in, a board full of old white men. So we're telling them, so I'm telling them, my husband is telling them, hey, this is what's going on in the community. And I think this is what really hit me. We sat down, they're like, oh, hey, where are you guys from? And we tell them which area, which house. Ooh, you guys moved into a really nice neighborhood. That's okay. So I had to tell them like, oh, this is really a really nice neighborhood. This is what X, Y, and Z, what we've been going through. And you know what? That day, my husband was like, you know what? That's it. We're going to go ahead and join the board of directors. And this was like our part of saying, you know what? If you can't beat them, join them. You know what I'm saying? So we took our stance and said, you know what? Enough is enough. You can't have these old white men telling you what to do in your own home. You know what I'm saying? Enough of these homeowners constantly calling the cops on us for every little thing, sending out notices and stuff like that, trying to fear us. You know what I'm saying? Trying to invoke fear in us as if like we don't belong here. We absolutely belong here.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, Steph. It's again, I can't be in you and Rory's shoes, but I'm definitely always praying for you guys out there and making sure everyone is safe. My final question is, say that again. I can't hear you.
Deb,
say that one more time.
Angry Black woman, Stephanie Solon.
There we go. I heard you. My final question. There's we haven't had sports in over 3 months now, right? No basketball, no baseball, but the NBA is on the verge. I know you're happy because it's been Debbie's season for 3 months. So she's happy about that. I haven't been able to watch basketball, and I've been watching all her shows with her. She loves that. But we're trying to see sports come back. And in the NBA right now, they're at a standstill because you have players who want to play under COVID restrictions and get tested. But then you have Kyrie, who's vice president of the Players Association, saying, we need to take a stand by not playing while all these owners are home and they're sending us down to Orlando to play. So real quickly, Deborah, what are your thoughts? Should the NBA take the Kyrie approach, not play and stand still and firm? Or should, in LeBron saying us playing will be us being vocal by taking a stand to play?
No, they should not just shut up and dribble. They should several seats and educate everyone who wants them to play why they're not going to play.
Okay.
And not just go back like nothing has happened. There will be another season. Take us several seats and help the people who just want you to play so they can get their money and tell them why you're not going to play. And maybe you have so much money you get every year, take a little bit and put it back into the community.
Okay. Well, Steph, I want to ask you this question, but I know you're a Knicks fan, so the Knicks are not going to play either if they play or not. So I don't know how you want to answer this. And your husband is a Bulls fan, and I know definitely those two teams won't play if they return. So what are your thoughts? Should they play or should they not play?
Who is this benefiting? That's my question. They go back on the court, they play. Who does this bring money to?
Yeah.
Who is this benefiting?
The owners, in a sense.
Owners,
yeah.
Of course.
If it benefits the owners, then you sit and you donate, or you march, or you protest, or you vote, or you attend council meetings, and this is what you do. If it benefits the big boys, you sit your butt down.
Okay. Vanessa, should they play or should they not play?
I mean, honestly, I want to see my Celtics play for a championship.
True.
But there are bigger issues in the world. For one, even before, the George Floyd issue came around, I was already saying, like, why risk these players' health?
Exactly, yeah.
Just to, expedite a season and to finish off a season. It doesn't make sense. Even more so now, it doesn't make sense because had, hockey and basketball and baseball been on TV, do you think all of these protests would have had all this, airtime? All of these people would have been out there doing it to begin with. Like all of these conversations, they would have been had, but not on the scale of what is happening now. So, as much as it pains me to say it, I'm with Kyrie. Like, I don't think it's worth it.
Okay. Danielle, should they play or not play?
Selfishly, I want them to play, but I think it's a bigger issue. I think they should have forums. I think they should sit down with the owners and actually have a discussion. Like, a lot of stuff has gone on behind the scenes in the NBA, and just with the little things, especially with them wearing the I Can't Breathe shirts and that being an issue. And like, they should really be like, you know what? I think these players want a voice, and I'm making millions of dollars with them having a voice. So let me sit down and really understand what is going on. Like, they see it as them just not wanting to play, or, let's get back to how it used to be. It can't go back to the way it used to be. If we want change to happen, it can't go back.
So we're running short on time. I just wanted to, final thoughts from anyone. Steph, final thoughts here.
First of all, thank you so much for having us here. Good job, Deb. I like this. Well, like I said, guys, let's continue to build our allies. Let's not give up. Let's continue. If you cannot protest, like I said, donate or have these conversations. Have these conversations. I can't tell you, like my husband. I can't tell you how many relationships my husband has lost. So continue to have these conversations. Continue to attend these council meetings, continue to vote. Let's not give up. Let's not give up. Let's continue this momentum because we're fired up.
Final thoughts from Boston?
Like Stephanie said, don't give up the fight. Honestly, like, it's a crazy time. So just make your voices be heard anyway, like Deb always does, like post so many different articles and different things on social media, or having the conversations with your kids like Danielle said she's doing, like all of that stuff. Like, reach out to your allies. Like, I am so appreciative that I grew up and met some people in my life that, they're fighting along with me, and they have no idea what it's like to be a Black woman in America. So, like, be appreciative of those people that are already educated in, the stance and everything like that, and continue to voice your damn opinion about all of this because your voice needs to be heard.
Danielle, final thoughts?
I think that's the main thing. Just educate. Everyone has that little platform that they have, whether it's with friends, with, the neighbors, just in the neighborhood. Make sure that you're educating the kids and you know, just when someone sees something, say something. Like, if it's not something that you feel in your heart is right, say it. Say like, no, that's not what it is. Like, you need to voice your opinion and get out and vote. Voting is the most important thing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Coulage, final thoughts. This is your segment.
I want girls to join me. They should be done again. It should not just be the men for sports hit list. Mrs. Coulage, you can make a change. It should not just be men talking. Women have voice. Remember, behind every man is a strong woman.
Amen.
Right, Deb.
The Obama Day. And if you can, please vote. Please vote. You may not like Trump, but we are in this situation, 75% in 2020. We are here because we have let him be in the White House. We have to get him out. He does not want to see Black, Spanish, Asian, Jewish people succeed. He does not care for women's rights. He does not care for gay rights. He does not care for anyone but himself. If you don't care about politics and you're religious, the man held a Bible and it looked like his fingers were going to burn. Vote. Biden for 2020, Stephanie!
Okay.
You know
Well,
how I feel about that, Deb.
Yeah, we know how Steph feels. She could go on another 20 minutes about Bernie Sanders, and that could cause another conversation for another day. But ladies, thank you so much for joining me here on this panel. I love to continue the conversation. The Sports Hit List will continue producing content that deals with sports and social issues. Even before this happened, we've had to talk about Colin Kaepernick. We've talked about Eric Gardner. We've had these segments, and we'll continue to have this conversation. I'll continue to use this platform to educate people, for people to know what's going on. And I hope everyone is staying safe out there. Everywhere you go, you guys are. Just be very, very careful. Continue to fight the fight. I love you guys, and we'll definitely keep in touch soon. The Sports Hit List, by the fans and for the fans. Please make sure you check out our content all over social media. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Have a good evening.